What's poppin', gamers? Welcome to a very special edition of the Nifty Cauldron podcast. I am one of your esteemed hosts, Carrie, and this is my esteemed co-host.
It's Nifty.
What's up, Nifty? How's it going?
It's going well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for asking. Today's a very special edition of our Nifty Cauldron podcast because we will be presenting some of our takes on the anime, particularly the distribution of anime and subtitles and etc. kind of over the years. This is a special edition that we'll be presenting to Crunchyroll. So hello, happy Crunchyroll Expo, and welcome Crunchyrollians to our cute little podcast. Thank you so much for being here. So just to kind of open with like a little bit about ourselves, my name is Apothecary. I go by Carrie, and I stream on Twitch. You can find me at twitch.tv/apothecary. And this is my co-host, Nifty, and he also streams on Twitch. Plug yourself, my friend.
To plug myself, as mentioned, I also stream on Twitch. You can find me at Nifty Studios. Same goes for Twitter, same goes for YouTube. And of course, we run this very podcast.
Yes. So kind of the reason why we're going to be here today is that we will presenting the entertainment, like an entertainment style panel where we do a rudimentary deep dive on anime industry and its evolution of distribution of particularly its media, from bootlegs to fan subs to simulcasts to basically all of the above. We're going to be covering our personal experiences regarding the consumption of anime and media and merchandise over the years. So come for a nice trip down memory lane where we kind of talk about our previous experiences with anime and as well as cast a vision for the future. So just to, kick us off, what was your first anime, Nifty?
Well, of course, ignoring the obvious answers like, Pokemon, Digimon, Dragon Ball that we all kind of grew up with, I would say. The first anime that I realized was anime was actually Ranma 1/2. So big throwback to 88, I think it came out. It's aired, obviously. That was before my time, so it's not like I watched it back then, but that was the first anime I saw that I knew was anime. I think I was like 9 or 10 years old, maybe, if that even.
Yeah.
And it was very different than it is now. I had to get German satellite TV to watch it every day at 4 p.m. in German. And underneath the German dub was like the Japanese dub as well, so it was oof. And obviously I don't speak German, so was a little bit different than today.
I mean, you never know because with particularly like because you're European, like that polyglot comes in clutch sometimes, and maybe you can understand like a little bit of German or something. But so did they just dub over like the German, but still had the Japanese like just quietly in the background as well? Like the way you said.
I mean, specifically Germany does that to all series and like movies and everything. Like they dub over everything to this day. Germany has a really, really good voice acting industry because of it.
Wow. Okay. Well, awesome. So, I think like now you can actually watch Ranma 1/2 on Hulu.
Correct. Yeah, we didn't have Hulu back in the day, but I would have preferred that.
Back in my day, old man shakes fist at cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have to get a satellite from a different country and then hope the signal tunes in correctly. It was bad. But yeah, what about you? Like, what's your entry to anime, you would say?
So I actually started watching, my first anime was Record of Lotus War. Absolutely beautiful title, high fantasy. You have like, full suits of armor and beautiful elf maidens. And so it was really hype. I remember watching it. But the way that I obtained it was that there was a tiny Chinese video store inside of my local Asian supermarket. And my mom would rent videos from the Chinese video store. So everything was either dubbed over in Chinese or it was like the original Japanese audio, but with Chinese subtitles. And so she brought home Record of Lotus War on VHS, and I remember watching it, not knowing at all what the heck was going on. But just looking at just the beautiful just art of it and kind of piecing it together through context clues what was happening, but not really knowing what was going on, but just being like, wow, this is pretty.
Yeah,
Straight
no,
up.
I was the same way. Like, I think for me, it was just also very vastly different than all the other cartoons that were on TV, right?
Mhm.
So it was just very refreshing, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And it was nice because, my mom was just like, yeah, this looks good, whatever, and then just rented it, like not knowing really what, anime was or but still getting like that door opened to like other consumption of like other media that wasn't necessarily what was airing in America. So I was very
Hmm.
fortunate that my mom kind of shoved me through the door of anime early.
Yeah, you got lucky. I mean, I also got lucky. I just stumbled upon it, right? But it is interesting how back in the day how Japan really didn't prioritize the West that much, right? In terms of distribution and the whole side of getting it localized and translated. It was, I think, just too hard to market, right? Because
Yeah.
especially America had a lot of cartoons already, so I think there was just maybe some initial fear of, hey, this won't really do that well. Let's not put our time and resources and energy into this, and
Yeah.
let's just stick to like Southeast Asia, right? Because like you said, China had all the anime, no issues, you
Yep.
know.
Yeah, I know for like just specifically one of our mutual friends, right, Joey. He is originally from Hong Kong and he was saying that he was watching like anime just on regular TV there and that when he finally immigrated over to the United States that the United States was actually didn't have any anime and he was just like how am I going to watch my cartoons in the morning and it was kind of like um just very strange for him. So it's you know I want to say like a lot of that had to do with the fact that like a lot of the like anime starting out and back in the day was hand drawn, and so it took like a significantly longer time in order to like make a finished product to have it to like be on air and etc. But it is really well, I mean, it's not strange, but I will say, the Asian countries definitely had access to anime way before the US did. And Joey specifically was saying that, when he was watching Dragon Ball Z in Hong Kong, when he came and he came back to like America, when he came to America, he was watching Dragon Ball Z again, and everybody was like, "Oh, I don't know what happens," and Joey's like, "I totally know what happens because I've seen all these episodes already," kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. And even then, the difference between the US and Europe was very big.
Oh yeah,
Like we only had Toonami for like a year, and like we only had like a couple of the big ones. Like we had Gundam Wing, we had Dragon Ball, we had Sailor Moon for like a year or two, and I think one more show, and that's it. Like we didn't get all like the big hits. Like we got no like no Inuyasha, no Cowboy Bebop, like none of that Toonami After Dark stuff. This all aired at like 4 to 6 p.m. every school day. And that was it.
wow. Wow, yeah. I remember like Toonami starting as early as like 3, I think, like here, in America, and then like it would go into like 6. So you'd have about like 3 hours of like,
Hmm.
and sometimes they would do like a double feature, and you'd get like a back-to-back episode of Dragon Ball Z, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, we
So,
we had Dragon Ball Z reruns every weekend, like of all the episodes that had aired that week.
mm,
But we never got Dragon Ball. We just started with Dragon Ball Z. We just skipped over the entirety of Dragon Ball somehow.
yeah, here in the US, it's kind of funny because we started with Dragon Ball Z, and then we went back and started releasing Dragon Ball. But then a lot of kids were like confused, and they were like, I don't understand this timeline,
Yeah.
like kind of thing. So I don't know. Craigslist misconnections at this point.
Basically, I don't. It was just very weird, but it was kind of the Wild West back then, right? Like in the same way that we got whatever we could get our hands on from from VHSs to DVDs, I kind of feel like the industry itself, the Western industry, was also like, look, I'll take any anime you can give us, Japan. Please just give us something. And it definitely, looking back, feels that way.
Oh, for sure. Like, and just speaking of just trying to grab anything that you can, like, do you remember like kind of the era of like the CD anime stores slash bootlegs? Like, I particularly remember buying. Okay, so I wanted to watch Sailor Moon, right? And I realized that the episodes that I was getting on like Toonami and etc. like weren't actually, well, this is actually before. Yeah, this is actually before. So I wanted to watch Sailor Moon because my eldest sister, I have a sister who is about like 8 years, 7 to 8 years older than me, and so she was able to get her hands on these Sailor Moon tapes, right, on VHS, and they were the original Japanese Sailor Moon episodes. So I had like R, S, Super S, and like the corresponding movies. And the way that she was able to get them is that she had to buy them from Canada, and in
Oh.
Canada they had access to like recording like Japanese TV, and then somebody in Canada would do the fan subs, but then you would have to pre-purchase the episodes, but they would only send you the tape when it had like 3 to 4 episodes on it, like the whole tape was like used up.
Mm-hmm.
So even though you were basically like putting money on a shelf to hopefully get a tape in like 2 months, basically.
Yeah, no, that is insane. We didn't really even have that here in Europe. Like, I didn't really start getting into like bootlegs until the era of DVDs, and I don't know if it was just a case of just being too young, right? Like, I didn't really have an older brother or sister who was
Yeah.
also into anime to like find out that those CD bootleg VHSs. And my parents, they didn't know. Like, the name of cartoon is a cartoon, right?
Mm.
As I imagine most parents are. So maybe it was around, maybe it existed, but I wasn't aware of it. I really only got to watch it was on TV and on my German satellite TV.
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, I don't know. I guess I'm like really fortunate because my parents like both like knew what anime was, and they were both like low key interested and down. So whenever my mom would bring back those, like Chinese subtitled like anime episodes from like the Chinese bookstore, sorry, the Chinese video store that was inside the grocery store. My dad was actually like very into the content. So I remember I told you that I watched Record of Lotus War as my first anime. So eventually I was able to find the DVDs of it down the line, and I actually rewatched Record of Lotus War with my dad. And so the two of us finally knowing what the heck was happening, we're like, okay, this is actually pretty good kind of thing. But how my sister discovered this like CD dealer in Canada that would like, send you send you Sailor Moon tapes was that they had these pen pal books back in the day. So there were like these little books where you would put your name and your address, and you would write like your favorite series, and then you'd ship it to your next friend that was also into anime, and then they would put down their name and their favorite series, and then eventually the pen pal book would come back to you, and you could look through the book and discover like different people that shared your interests, and then you could start writing them letters, and then over time they become your pen pal, and then you'd start like trading like merch and like
Mm-hmm.
sending each other different VHSs so that you could watch something and then you'd send it back to them. And that's actually how like my sister found like a lot like that dealer in Canada that was on the sly, sending out those Sailor Moon tapes and stuff. But they were super expensive as well. I want to say that they were this is back in the 90s, so they were like $30 to $40 a tape.
Damn, yeah, that is just thinking about it. The pre-internet era. I mean, I shouldn't really say pre-internet. Internet existed, but could you imagine doing that today? Like sending out a pen pal book to find people to
Oh, I
potentially come
know.
to bond with over anime. That is such a far-fetched thing, right? Like, it's just incomprehensible to even think about. This is
Totally.
like almost like forums before forums existed.
Oh yeah.
But
And they were like tiny. They were like tiny little books, but that way they wouldn't cost that much to like
yeah.
ship. Um So like, yeah, it was wild. And like you'd put them just inside of an envelope and then just address it to the next person. You put like the tiny pen pal book. And so you'd have to write in like the tiniest letters in order to get all your messaging through.
Yeah, if you had a long name, you're out of luck.
Oh yeah. Totally out of luck. But yeah, my sister ended up meeting like a lot of cool people through that, and like a lot of people that she ended up like meeting up at Anime Expo and like, you know, different other conventions and stuff here in the US like down the line. And so she actually like cultivated some real friendships, and one of her pen pals she's still in very close contact to, like to this very
Oh,
day. It's very cute.
yeah, that's very awesome. It is kind of like our friendship, right? We met sort of on accident, but here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
So that's a really cool.
Also through anime.
Yeah,
Anime cultivates real friendships, okay? I don't write the rules. It's just how it is.
very very true. But no, like I think the big era for me for anime when I got really into it, because this is you know, like that transition from VHSs to DVDs, it was expensive as a kid. Like that
Oh yeah.
is oof. Like I had a good allowance. I don't know about you. My allowance was good, but I could buy like one anime DVD a month. That, you know, and so it's like that's
Can't
great
relate.
allowance.
Can't
Exactly right.
relate, dude.
But even in such a fortunate position, that is not enough anime. That is what 3 to 4 episodes per DVD. Like I can't sustain myself off of that as a child.
Nope, for sure. When you hungering for the content,
Yeah.
it's not enough.
And especially at least over here, I don't know how it was back in the US. Most of the DVDs that were sold were movies. It was I don't think I've ever saw like a box set or anything like that until like late teenage years.
Yeah,
But
I would also agree with that. Well, perhaps. Well, mm, I'm trying to think about it, and I was like thinking about it, and I was like, no, I think they were VHSs. I think the VHS like episodic thing was more common, and I think yeah, like DVD they really prioritize more like movie distribution, like Spriggan and you know the Ghost in the Shell movies and stuff like
mm-hmm.
that. I remember seeing
Yeah.
those in the stores pretty quickly.
Yeah, I have a bunch of random anime movies still, and I don't know the titles off the top of my head. One of them was apparently rated R, and I found that out when watching in front of my parents. Like, oh, let's watch a movie together, and
Got him.
it did not open too family friendly, and I immediately regretted everything.
You're just like, no, mom and dad, you have to watch anime. It's really cool. And like,
That's basically how it went. I tried to convince them. They're like, all right, we'll watch a movie with you, son. I'm like,
and
all
then it
right,
opened.
let's
Yeah,
watch
and
this
then,
one.
and then it opened not very coolly.
And then I just want to like sink into the ground. And we have never watched a movie together since.
So
Lessons were
anime
learned that day.
anime cultivates real friendships, but ruins relationships with parents.
Yes. So I guess you know, hot tip for today. If you're gonna show anime to your parents, uh, maybe like watch the first 5 minutes first. Don't just blindly pop it into the DVD player and keep your fingers crossed just because the cover art looked cool. You know.
Yep. I feel that. That's also happened to me a couple times. But I was also kind of fortunate that like my parents are kind of like cool and we're just like, yeah, whatever. We'll keep watching. Like this looks good, kind of thing. But
Yeah, like I think I was like 13, so like a super shy kid, and yeah, just not a good time. Yeah,
not shy
but
anymore.
thankfully, times have changed. No, but so I think for me, the really big era where I really got into anime was when I discovered fansubs.
Oh yeah.
And once I got internet, and once you know the old days of like LimeWire and just keeping your fingers crossed that it's an actual anime episode and not a virus.
Yeah. Oh no, I destroyed the family PC because I downloaded Linkin Park's I'm So Numb.
Linkin Park, I'm so numb.exe. Like surely that's
You're
just
like,
part of the
surely.
song, right?
She part of the song.
I mean, luckily, we didn't have a family PC. My parents just didn't understand technology, so it didn't really matter if I messed it up. It was on me. I was the only one suffering.
Hmm.
But that was definitely the era where I consumed a lot more shows, and but as opposed to today, where shows are very easily cataloged and nicely sorted, and you can browse by genre and alphabetically. It was kind of
Yep.
like people sub whatever they want to sub, and there's no synopsis. You just have to download it and wait 2 to 3 days on bad dial-up connection type speed internet, and then hope the
Yeah.
show was good. Because if it wasn't, like, well, are you going to wait another 3 days to try something else? No.
At the same time, though, I feel like because of that, because it took so long to like get the content and enjoy the content, that you were sort of just you were fine with it, even if it wasn't
Yeah,
great. You're like, you know what? Yeah, this wasn't that bad. You had like
yeah,
that weird reasoning phase where you just kind of talk yourself into actually liking something when you don't
yeah.
actually like it, just because you wasted the time for the most part.
Yeah, that's the difference between today, right? If I don't like a show today, just hit pause and go find a different show,
Oh
right?
yeah, back
I'll,
in the
I'll
day,
just,
you're just like,
this is it. This is what I got. This is my only 20 minutes of entertainment of anime for this week. So yeah, the show ain't bad.
yeah. I
And
mean, yep.
but at the same time, I do appreciate it though, because yeah, looking back, some of the shows were subpar, but I did watch a wild variety of them, and I would say the biggest gripe I had with it is, I don't know if you ever experienced this, but when you couldn't watch a show from the start because you couldn't find like the episodes in chronological order, so you just downloaded whatever you could get.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's when it came to like fan subs, it was really just the luck of the seeds, you
Yeah,
know? Like you find
like
enough seeds, you could like get it done. But if you couldn't find like a
exactly.
seeded episode for like episode 2, then you're just like, I don't know what's gonna
Yeah,
happen. I don't know what happened
like
in that episode.
I've seen like half of like Tenchi, but I think I went from like episode 7 to like episode 60 something. Oh well, I guess this is where I live now. Just I couldn't find the other ones, so I'm sure nothing important happened in the 50 episodes I missed.
uh, the synopsis is Ryoko continues to be hot and Ayaka sucks.
But yeah, I mean, but that was definitely the era of harem anime. I think that was like the golden age with
Oh
like
yeah,
Tenchi and like Love Hina and stuff like that,
love
right?
Hina. Mm-hmm. 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 For sure. And then
Um,
also
oh my
just
goddess.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it was also just like the luck of the draw too, like the quality of the fan sub that you could get. Because most of the time, like, okay, back in the day, old man shakes fist at Cloud. Back in the day, you 720 did not exist, let alone 1080. Like 1080, who is she? I've never met her in my entire life. Is she a nice
Yeah.
girl? Never met her. Back in the day, it was like 480 or 360p. And sometimes when you couldn't find that episode, like as like a proper seed, you would just have to watch it on YouTube. And it was like split into like 2 or 3 parts. And the subs were in Portuguese, so you had no idea what was happening, but you wanted to know what was going on, kind of thing. So you just continued to watch it because of, I don't know, interest or self hatred, who knows.
Why not both?
Um, yeah, so for me, I was super fortunate because my brother-in-law, he had like really fast internet, like the fastest you could have at the time. So he could download it, he could download like an episode of anime like within a day. And so he would
Which
download,
today,
yeah,
imagine saying that today.
right? And again, this is not 720p. This is like 480p
Yeah,
anime, okay?
for I guess for more context, the episode was maybe like 200 megabytes as opposed
Oh,
to
for
today
sure.
where they're like over a gig or something, just
Oh,
because
oh yeah.
video quality went up
Oh
so
yeah.
so much.
Oh yeah. Enjoy the video quality. Like kids at
Don't take
home
it for
enjoy.
granted.
Yeah. So he luckily had like really fast internet, and so what he would do is that he would download anime for me, and then he would burn it on those like Memorex CDs, and then he'd give it to me, and then because we had one family computer, and the other computers did not have internet. So I couldn't watch, like I couldn't download anime like on my own computer, and I would try not to do it like on my parents, like only when they were like went to bed at night I would like kind of sneak over and like start a download for like, Naruto or something. um but like he would burn them for me, and so but it was awesome because during that time frame I remember like Memorex like released like this newer CD where it could, like, before it'd be like 2 to 3 episodes, but then when Memorex released like that new CD, it just like slapped, and then you could get at least 4 episodes on, and then that was hype. That
That's
was
a that's
hype.
that's a big improvement in anime watching quality. One more episode.
One more episode per burned CD, and you only had to wait 4 days versus 12.
Yeah, big difference, right?
Oh yeah.
No, definitely. And it's, oh god, just thinking about the days of fan subbing, it was so not only the quality, right? And I guess if does anime even come in 480p anymore? I don't think it does, right?
I
I'm
mean,
pretty
I
sure.
would. It probably does. Like on some. I mean, I'm 100% sure that you could still find one of those YouTube anime series that have been
Sure,
uploaded where the subtitles are in Portuguese and you have no idea what's happening.
sure. And I'm sure if you just go to YouTube, you can just downscale the quality. But yeah,
Watch
like
old school.
don't take that for granted. But it's not just that was very wild, right? It was the fan subs themselves. They could vary so much because
Yes.
nowadays, uh you know luckily, thankfully, everything is like professionally translated. It's very accurate. It's nicely quality checked. It's great. It's amazing. Back then, it was usually just a dude or a couple dudes just at home doing it for free because they wanted to, right?
Hmm.
And maybe some of them, didn't understand. Like, there were definitely some memes back in the day, right,
Oh yeah.
where like 8 different fan subgroups had like 8 different translations for a show.
Uh
It's like,
huh.
well, which one's correct? And which one's just wrong? Are they all wrong? Like, what's going on?
Yes, but also lest we forget, all according to Keikaku, Keikaku means plan.
Yeah, that. So for the people who never watched fan subs back in the day, who got into anime a little bit later, um, what was very common is that the fan sub groups would leave some Japanese words untranslated, and then they would
Yeah.
leave like a translator note, like somewhere else on the screen, that would say what it actually meant.
Yeah, like if it's like a pun or like something slang or like a colloquialism that like a US audience wouldn't necessarily like grok, they would do like, like star, and they'll be like, "Oh, the reason why this is funny is because it's a pun off of this."
Yeah,
La Mao,
yeah. And I think the worst one. I don't know. Have you ever seen Code Geass?
Yes.
There was, I think, one episode where Lelouch made he won by checkmate, but it was an illegal move, and the translator note literally took up the entire screen, just explaining why it was an illegal move. And it's like, you can't get that stuff nowadays, and I think it's good. Like, I don't think that has a place in any type of business, but it was definitely something. And not only that, um different fonts, different colored fonts per
Oh
character,
yeah.
and karaoke
Font
fonts.
apocalypse, girl. Font
Yeah,
apocalypse.
like for most shows, you could watch the episode muted and just like the subtitles, and you would know who's talking, just
Oh
because they
yeah.
they would have their own font or their own
Colored
character
font.
color. Yeah, it
Hmm.
was.
Hmm.
And then, I don't know about you, but if I didn't like the font, I'm going to a different group.
Oh no, for sure. For me, it's like if I open that downloaded episode and it's Comic Sans, I'm out. I'm
Yes.
out. I close box. I find a new group.
It's like, yeah, like, why would you do this? Like, I get it, like, graphic design is your passion, but
Why
don't.
would you subject my eyes to this horror?
Yeah. And honestly, the only toss up with that, and I'm sure you also remember, is because nowadays everything releases instantly,
Oh
right? Like
yeah.
when it airs in Japan, it's out. You can watch it immediately in like 18 bajillion languages, right?
Hmm.
But back then, episode would air like today. If you were lucky, if they worked quickly, maybe in 2 or 3 days, the episode will be translated.
Oh yeah, 2 to 3 days,
And
most of the time a week.
yeah, so it depended on the fan sub group, right?
Hmm.
And usually the one that took longer, they had like the nicer font, or they had the super neat karaoke, and
Oh yeah.
or like they translated things the exact way you wanted them to, like when they do senpai with an N, like it's supposed to, aesthetically correct instead of an M, you know.
Remember that
But
senpai?
yeah, but what if the last episode was like a cliffhanger, and like the new fan sub group, or the worse fan sub group, I guess, for to be a little bit crass about it, that episode is out, or like, are you gonna wait 4 more days for the group you want?
No, I cheated. I cheated on my fan subgroups all the time. If it was on a big juicy cliffhanger, I cannot control myself. I must know. I am possessed by inquiry. I must know.
Yeah, I very rarely did I need to know. And even if I succumbed, to the dark side, and like downloaded the Comic Sans to like sate my curiosity.
Wow. So what I did was the dark side. Okay, go off.
I mean, look, if you feel dragged, that's on you, right? If you feel called out,
Feel
I think
attacked.
I would still like download the other groups when it came out, and then watch that, just to see if there was like a difference in translation, or because sometimes it would be wildly different, right? A group's interpretation compared to the other one.
Yeah. Just thinking about it, I guess my fan sum alignment would be chaotic neutral because I would download whatever would sate me, and then I probably wouldn't go back and download the proper subs for the other group because I wasn't the person that was going to be burning them on Memorex brand TM CDs and handing them out. Not unless I was
Yeah.
going to like have my friend watch, or like, yeah, I got the new episode. Would I go back and download like the nicer one? But if it was just for me and I just wanted to find out what happened during that episode and it was on a juicy cliffhanger, I would just chaotic neutral, bruh.
I mean, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I guess for me back then, I did collect shows. Like, I would have the entire show for to potentially like show to friends or something. So I wanted to have like all the shows from like the same group, so it was just cohesive and consistent, you know.
Yeah, you wanted it to be crisp, but like meanwhile, I just did not care. But one of
Yeah,
the one of the new things that was I also kind of enjoyed about particularly the fan subgroups was just straight up like sometimes I liked the font better on the fan subs than I did on the actual like official like DVDs. Like I don't know whose idea it was to like make the font like the official translation DVDs have like that really ugly yellow
a
font.
yellow, yes.
Like, come on, bruh.
I hate it. Like, I think it has to do, and I could be entirely wrong, with just the way that it was encoded. That yellow was like the only option, because even when we switched from the really ugly yellow to white, it was still like very blocky, and it just looked out of place, right? Like, it looked like it didn't belong there. But no, I hated that yellow, and to this day I don't get it, because it's not like yellow reads well, you know.
No, it bleeds and it goes all over the place. So then, like, when you would go and take screen caps and then you would save it as like a JPEG, like the whole image would just be destroyed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like that's definitely how you can tell from which era an anime is. Like, if it has yellow subtitles, like, you know when it's
you know
from.
it's
Like,
classic. You know it's like '80s
yeah,
vaporwave throwback.
like, look at any old OVA, right? It's always yellow.
Yeah, Alexa, cue up Plastic Love.
Yes, absolutely. But nowadays, even like, I'm grateful that fan subs like put their own touch with like font selection and how to distinguish themselves. But I'm
Hmm.
really glad that nowadays we just have one unified font. It's
Yeah.
just more accessible, just readability. It's just better, you know.
Hmm. Get that
So
Helvetica, honey.
yeah, like I don't think I would want to go back to like specialized fonts depending on like the anime and the
Oh god.
characters and stuff like
Every
that.
character
I couldn't
talking.
deal with that.
Yeah, and then like sometimes they would mess up and they'd be like, okay, well like Sakura was pink, but now she's green,
Oh
and you're like,
god,
wait, what?
yeah, yeah. I remember
Like,
that.
wait,
Like,
what?
wait, who's this?
New font color. You're just like, who that?
Yeah, it's like green. Where's Lee? Is Lee in this scene?
Exactly right. You're just like looking around in a panic.
Where's my boy?
Where's my boy? But
But
yeah,
yeah, I
just
don't know.
quality of life. Quality of life has really just exponentially gone up. And
Yeah,
because everything, you can get everything pretty much instantly. You can basically pay like 10.99 or under for the most part and just watch whatever you want. I know specifically like Crunchyroll, you don't even have to sign up. You can watch for free. You just, have ads, and
yeah.
that's
But that's no different than TV, right? Like you
TV.
get commercials on TV. It's it's not even no, TV is way worse. You get like 10 minutes of commercials on TV, but
Oh yeah.
you
Oh yeah.
know, so
Not only that, but TV's more expensive.
yeah.
Cable? Excuse me?
Well, I mean, cable here is free, but you know, let's listen. We're not going to go into those details.
Okay.
You Americans might get a little bit jealous.
All right. America's slumming it, bruh. Big Daddy EU coming through.
Yeah, but it just goes to show, right? That like you said back in the day, you maybe paid like $40 for a VHS, and you hope it was good. And if it
Yeah.
wasn't, like, well, I guess I'll try again in a couple months when I have the money. But now you pay a small fee, honestly. Like that is so little money, or you don't even have to. Like you said, you can just watch ads, and you literally have thousands upon thousands of shows on your fingertips, at your
Yeah.
fingertips, not on, at your fingertips.
Yeah. And
um,
just the professional translator, like we mentioned before, like the
mhm.
quality is better. You don't have, all according to Keikaku. Keikaku means plan. It's just translated the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's official, and I think the most important part is you don't have to go out. I don't have to go to the store and browse for VHSs or DVDs or box sets. It's just I can be a couch potato, and if I like the show, great. If I don't, I'll just find something else. It's right there. It's just a couple of clicks away. Like I said, you can sort for anything, right? Any
Mm-hmm.
genre. Like me, I love sports anime. I love sports anime. So nowadays it's super easy. Just filter by sports. That's it.
Filtered by sports. Yep. There you
And just
go.
hit play and I'm good, you know? But I don't know, it's just everything is just so much more accessible, and I feel it was a very gradual process that no one really paid attention to, right? Like it's not like there was a sudden big shift like, oh, now things are different. It wasn't like going from VHS to DVD. It wasn't a big sudden jump that threw people off. It just kind of assimilated and like it just happened over the years.
Yeah, I feel like with the rise of specifically like Netflix, everybody started just becoming so used to just streaming their content like digitally that I'm really happy and fortunate that yeah, Crunchyroll was just like, we can do that but with anime.
Yeah.
And it was just that easy, and everybody's like, yeah, this makes sense. And then it just kind of took off from there. And just now over time, like there's been more accessibility to titles and stuff. I remember when stuff was first initially coming out, like some stuff it would be like kind of like iffy if the anime that you particularly wanted to watch would actually get picked up by like like a major streaming service for that. But now like I feel like they almost grab everything
Yeah.
and
I
put it
mean,
up.
yeah, exactly. Like 'cause a lot of stuff is just made in tandem almost, right? Or
Hmm.
um just a lot more accessibility between the studios and the Western public, like the general public, because a lot more stuff gets translated with the inclusion of Twitter. It's just a lot easier in general, right?
Oh yeah.
If something goes wrong, like was this last year or the year before? I think was it? I forget which animation studio, but I think it burned down, right? And it was worldwide news pretty much
Oh
in like
yeah.
10 minutes, right? And support was sent and everything like that. But back in the day, you would not know like if something happened, or
Oh
like,
no.
where's my anime. The only thing I knew as a kid was Golden Week. That's what I
Yeah.
knew. That's 1 week of no anime, and that's it. If something else happened, no idea. But nowadays, the line for communication is just so much better. From like, for example, right now, you can pretty much know what the next season is going to air
Oh
for
yeah,
like
for
like
sure. Yeah,
like
like particularly like me, I'm looking forward to season 2 of Beastars, and I know like Netflix was just like, "Hey, yeah, we're gonna put season 2 up, see you in July." I'm like, "Okay,"
yeah,
you know, hey, really excited, kind of thing.
yeah.
So, and that's like, it's just like having that accessibility of knowing when you can get your next bit of content, or knowing if it's been even renewed for a second season. Um, so like just me personally as well, when I went to the last Crunchyroll Expo that happened like in person, there was a Rising of Shield Hero anime panel, and I still am really into Rising of Shield Hero. I cosplayed Naofumi, and I went to the panel and they announced that, yeah, like Rising of Shield Hero has been greenlit for both season 2 and season 3, and I was
Yeah,
just like fist pumps wildly. But it's
yeah.
just like you wouldn't necessarily know that like back in the day. Like you wouldn't know if it got approved for a second season. You're just like the Anakin Padme meme where like this anime is really good, but there's gonna be a second season, right? And then it's just like the face,
Gonna
and
be a
then
second season,
there's
right?
gonna be a
Yeah.
second season, right? Yeah, totally,
Yeah, no, like
100%.
back in the day, the only way, so the way you found out if there was a season two is if you were looking for fan subs and you saw season two episode one just pop up. Like there was no announcement; it was just there one day. But yeah, like nowadays, like how I do it is I'll look at like upcoming season, like be it spring or summer or autumn or winter, and be like, I'm gonna watch these.
Hmm.
And there's a synopsis. It'll tell
Yep.
me, it'll give me a countdown to when it airs. It'll give me the genre, the studio who makes it, how many episodes it's gonna have, everything.
Hmm. Everything.
And then before the season even starts, I can just make a hand selection of the stuff that interests me, right?
Oh yeah, totally. It's like I don't know, the internet is a series of tubes and
Yeah,
information.
exactly. And I think that's great, right? And just in general, back in the day, the success of a show was really dependent on how well DVDs sold in Japan,
Oh yeah.
and more or less, nothing else really mattered. But nowadays, with a much more broader market and that line of communication, that line of access, we have indirect voting power, right? Like if a show
Oh yeah.
doesn't do well in Japan, but it does amazing in the US, more than likely it's still gonna get greenlit for another season.
Yeah, for sure. Like now that like we have like the cross seas audience, like I feel like we get more we as in like the United States.
Hmm.
We get more of a say in the content that'll come out, because if we end up rallying behind it, Japan will probably be like, okay, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. A good point. Like you make a fair point.
Yeah, you make a fair point. This looks good. Let's go ahead and like do that. And it's just like the international events too, where now it's more like, because of like conventions and stuff like that and how big conventions have gotten, you can find a convention that's going to have like your favorite voice actor that's like coming all the way from Japan for you to like meet, and
Hmm.
etc. Like there's just more international events and accessibility for merchandise.
Yes.
Like for me, I would say I'm a little bit of a collector. So for me, it's like before, back in the day, you literally had access to like two super deformed plushies, little like chibi plushies, and then maybe like a wall scroll if you're lucky.
Yeah. and
Versus
and
like
maybe a
now,
keychain.
maybe a keychain. Versus now, there are people like full on Ita bags of things that they love,
Yeah.
and to me, that's just wild.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays, I can go to a website right now to play crane games live in Japan, and if I win the prize, they will ship it to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, but back, yeah, like, but it's the same thing as the DVDs, right? Back in the day, you just got whatever you could get, and that was it. You know, there's nothing else. Like I very vividly remember when I went to the US many moons ago, and Anime Expo was my first convention in LA. And when I went there, I was like, okay, I'm gonna, I think I put aside like $500 purely for like merch and DVDs and stuff like that because I just couldn't get it.
Mhm.
And I bought a lot of stuff. Like I think I had like an entire suitcase full just with merch and stuff because it's
Yeah.
like, look, this is my only shot to do this. Because Europe gets even less stuff than the US does.
Oh man, even the accessibility of like manga too over time. Where like back in the day, like you would have to buy manga like from Book Off, but there was no translations for it, right? Because it would just be like just the regular manga, like in Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'd either have to have a friend that knew Japanese that could translate it, or you could find a translation book where you can again, that was like the fan sub version of like specifically manga. And then they would tell you like they would number the panels and then tell
Oh
you
yeah,
what it said in English, but you'd have to like have that open and then your manga open
yeah.
and then like go back between the two. And then like I remember when they first started releasing specifically like manga in bookstores, like you could go to like a Barnes and Noble and there was like manga there. Shook.
Yeah, that was a different time.
That was a game changer. And then also when you couldn't find the manga that you wanted specifically um at the the like the bookstore near your house. Excuse me. So so for example, when you couldn't find the manga that you wanted at the bookstore near your house, you could probably find it at like a convention. And because they always had like those huge dealers halls with like, all the different like manga sellers and stuff like that. So you could end up like finding the series that you were looking for, or like if you couldn't find the specific book. I remember for a really long time I could not find Helsing book number 4. And
Mm.
I could not find it for some reason, but I was able to eventually track one down at a dealer's hall at a convention. Just the Barnes and Noble and the Borders near me were always like specifically sold out. So it's just things are wild now. There's so much accessibility for specifically like different media content regarding like anime and manga and just in general just merch. It's hype.
Yeah, it is great, right? And just the whole fact that stuff does get marketed towards the Western audience, or I feel like we're like half a step away where some shows will get made with like the Western audience in mind more, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um, and I'm also like personally very curious. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this, but like, where do we go from here, right? Because I think I wouldn't call it like a game changer yet. But to reference Netflix again from earlier, they kind of do the whole thing where like, hey, it's out, and then they just drop the entire season, as opposed to because Japan still does weekly episodes, like
Oh
quite
yeah.
literally. If an episode airs today, then today they're starting work on next week's episode for, and like they
Mhm.
still need to like finish animating it, drawing it, paneling, voice acting. Like they need to do the whole thing
Yeah.
instead of just doing the entire season and then just releasing it.
Yeah.
But
Versus like, Netflix, like Castlevania, where like the whole season comes out just one day.
yeah, here you go, and then you can just binge watch it. Like, and
Hmm.
I don't know if I can see like anime in general going that route where everything will just get dropped, because obviously it's still it's still a very big part of TV in Japan,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And it'd be kind of weird if they cut half their their TV shows just to please people who like to binge anime.
Yeah. Like me. I'm
Same.
definitely more of a binger.
Yeah, if I can, I prefer binging, but
Hmm.
I can't really wait if it's a good show to until it finishes airing.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I
I don't
think I
know.
think Yeah, I think maybe that's like a cultural difference. Maybe it's like a value specifically on tradition versus like I guess here where, we want it now kind of thing. So,
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, not gonna lie, but I mean, I think like, in the future there might be some like future implications for like VR anime where you could like, have like an Oculus and like watch anime that particular way and kind of like be in it.
Yeah,
Um,
I wouldn't be surprised if there were at least some movies that were designed from the ground up with VR in mind. Like, you know how some shows get designed, like, okay, we're going to use CGI for these parts, right?
mhm,
Like, where, like, I think um, to a recent movie that came out, The Fast Nine, Fast
yeah.
and Furious,
Mhm.
you can see it in 4D in some places. And
What does
what
that
that
mean?
means,
What does that mean?
the fourth
Can you smell
dimension.
it? Can you
No, no,
can you
no.
can you
So
smell it? Like what's going on?
what they do in movie theaters is they move your chair around with the movie, and
Oh.
apparently in Fast Nine they also spray water on you, which I don't know why. I guess there's water in the movie. I don't know, but my point is,
I
like,
made a face. I don't like that. Don't spray me,
uh,
dog.
but in the same way, like how that movie was probably built with the ground up with those scenes in mind for the movie watching experience. Like, do you remember when like 3D became a thing? You
Oh
you
yeah.
you a good 3D movie has to be
Was
built.
filmed. It's
Yeah,
filmed in 3D, yeah.
and but with that in mind, like the scene is going to be 3D and it's going to look like that. So I really do imagine that VR, if it ever does kick off, that it'll probably be more with movies and just from the ground up, we want this to be a thing, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's ever going to be like a common thing where that's the default way to do it, you know.
Hope so. I hope that they were kind of going into that general direction. But I mean, there's there's definitely like, a future in CGI. I mean, specifically if you look like Baki's great.
Yeah,
Baki's all CGI, but Baki's fantastic. And then there's also some series out there that didn't do a CGI very good that we won't say because but 2016 specifically, but I mean yeah, I also we also pretend that that didn't happen, just like there's no Devil May Cry 2. It just goes 1 3, goes from Devil May
I
Cry 1 to Devil May Cry 3. It's
see.
just that's just how it goes.
I agree with that, but I still would not put Devil May Cry 2 anywhere near the same level as the CGI in Berserk. Just,
Yeah, I would have to agree with you there as well. I would
but
rather
at
I
the same
would
time,
rather yeah.
at the same time, it's kind of growing pains, right? Like it's one thing. Like we joke about it, but CGI has come a long way in the last couple of years, and it's only going to keep getting better and better.
Mhm.
Like for example, Beastars isn't that fully CGI?
Yes, and
Yeah,
Beastars is amazing. Check out
exactly,
Beastars.
right. So, and it's just from what started initially as like a couple of things CGI, now it's becoming more and more. Some shows are fully CGI, and I'm all for it. Like, because you have to imagine, like in some cases, you either get the show in full CGI, and maybe it's not perfect or whatever, or you don't get the show at all because the budget just isn't there to
Yeah,
hand draw and hand animate everything. So,
for sure.
and
Just
and maybe, yeah, and like maybe the CGI version does well enough,
mhm.
and maybe the next season will be hand drawn or the movie or so be glad.
Yeah, honestly, we took you down a big trip, like down memory lane and how things used to be. So, not gonna say count your blessings, but maybe low key count your blessings. Just take what
Just
you can get. Be
yeah,
happy.
don't
Enjoy.
don't take it for granted. Enjoy anime. It's great. It's gonna it was always great. Be glad you don't have to suffer like we did. Be
Mhm.
glad you can just log into Crunchyroll and pick whichever show you want and enjoy it.
Yep. And yeah, just smile and know that anime is good. Anime is life.
This is the best time. Like, born too late to explore the world, born too early to explore the universe, born just in time to experience anime at its prime.
Beautiful. That's actually like the best thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Heck yeah. All right. Well, I feel like that is like the perfect quote to end on. Like I feel like we peaked. So, yeah. Without further ado, again, my name is Apothecary. I go by Carrie. You can find me on Twitch, and this is one of my, or the only, excuse me, esteemed co-host.
Still Nifty. You can also find me on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. It's all Nifty Studios. Uh, Hope you all enjoyed watching, listening. Hope you learned something. Hope you're more appreciative of anime and the viewing experience today than you were maybe an hour ago.
Yes. Just just look at your anime media distributors and just say thank you.
That's a good one. But yeah, thank you all for being here.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for coming. Have a great rest of your virtual Crunchyroll Expo. And this is us signing off. So bye.
Bye.